I'd known there were going to be this many people, I'd have finished my public speaking course. My name's Matt, as Jerry said, and what we're going to be looking at tonight is the new SeaLife Micro 2.0 camera. It is an upgrade from the camera we came out with last year, the HD cameras. The neat thing about these cameras is they are completely sealed. There's no doors, there's no O-rings, there's no way to flood these cameras. So if you ever had a bad experience with the camera that goes inside of a housing, this will help to eliminate that situation. What we're going to do is there's a little port on the bottom side of the camera. There's 6 gold-plated contacts on it. And we're going to take a USB adapter that comes with the camera, plug it in here, and this is going to be how we download the pictures and charge the cameras, or charge the batteries. So it's very easy to use. Both of the cameras that we have, the 2.0, 32 and 64, both contain Wi-Fi also. So if you have an iOS device or an Android device, you can get a free app online, put it onto your device, and you can actually download your pictures while you're using the camera. You can actually take control of your camera from up to 200 feet away. You can take still pictures, you can change it, you can start taking videos, everything else with it. So it's really a fun little camera to play with. The difference between SeaLife and any other camera out on the market is SeaLife cameras are designed specifically for use underwater. We're the only company that does that. Everybody else has taken a land camera, and either put a housing around it or developed red filters or something like that. I'm not able to show you, we used to be able to project it up on the screen with the older cameras how to do this, but we can't do that with this camera, but I can show you later how this all works. The cameras are tested to 200 feet. Right out of the box. It's just ready to go diving as soon as you get it. What we have is 3 piano keys on the back of it also. A lot of other underwater cameras have got little itty bitty buttons. As you get older, you need longer arms to be able to see what you're looking at. You can't tell what the buttons are for. These are very defined and allow you to take total control of the camera. To turn this on, we're just going to push the shutter button or push the on-off button. It's going to be a 2.4-inch screen. It comes standard with the cameras. If we're going to start a video, we just hit the video button and it immediately starts to play video. If I hit the shutter button during the video, it's going to take a 2 megapixel still picture, it's going to save it as a separate file outside of the video, and it's not going to interfere with the flow of the videos at all. What makes us unique in the underwater camera industry is we start to descend in the water column, we start losing the reds, yellows, oranges, the hot colors of the spectrum. Get to your depth and everything is just blue and green. With other cameras, you either put a red filter on the outside of it to compensate that, you do what's called a manual white balance, or you use a external light source. With SeaLife, what we can do is, I wish I could show this to you better, we're going to hit the menu button and we're going to have this drop-down menu. The orange bar is controlled by the up and down arrows on these top 2 buttons. So right now I'm in easy setup. I can go to image settings, system settings. What I'm going to do is go to easy setup, and if it's highlighted with the orange bar, we're going to activate it with the shutter button. So I'm in easy setup, and the camera literally says, am I going to be on land or underwater? So I'm going to go underwater. Am I going to be using the camera only at greater than 25 feet diving? Or am I going to be using the camera only snorkeling? Or am I going to be using artificial light sources? Right now, we're just going to go diving. Just go back up to, back up to the top, hit the shutter button, and the screen has now reflected a red and orange tint to it. It's reintroduced all those colors that you've lost on depth based on your water conditions. So it's pretty cool stuff. When we hit the video button, it will color correct all of our videos for us as well. So therefore you don't need the expensive red-yellow filters that go on the outside of the cameras. Everything else is built into the camera. If I get going too fast here on anything, just let me know as well. One of the big things about the new cameras that we came up with this year, the 2.0s, is that we developed or purchased a Sony Cmos sensor with it, so it's one of the best sensors available on the market. We were limited with the HDs to 13 megapixel and 1080p HD video. This camera will actually take 16 megapixel pictures, and it will take 1080p at 60 frames per second. We can also kick it up to 1296 HD video as well at 30 frames per second, so we're just one step below 10K or 4K pictures as well. Some of the other cool features with this, it does have a 130-degree wide-angle lens to it, and so it's really a wide field of view. But we have a setting in here also that we can decrease the field of view from 130 degrees down to 100 or down to 80. What's important with that is if I have a light source turned on, these beams are going to be about 80 degrees. I've got 50 degrees of my field of vision that's not being covered with light, so I'm going to have a bright spot in the middle of it. On the outer edges, I'm going to have a halo or a porthole effect. By downsizing the field of vision, I can actually cover all of my pictures using a single light source with this camera. During video also, if I ever wanted to turn the camera upside down, if I'm swimming along and want to check under a ledge, if I go like this with other cameras, the video is going to be upside down. We actually have a setting inside of here that's going to allow the video to remain upright no matter how we turn the camera. This is some pretty cool stuff. We have the two different versions of this. We do have the 2.032. It's going to have a 3-hour continuous use battery. It's going to be good for probably 2.5 hours of video. Video does tend to draw it down a little bit faster, but usually 300-400 pictures with it easily with the camera on one charge. The 32 has definitely got obviously got a 32 gig internal memory to it. At 16 megapixels, that's going to give us about 12,500 pictures or 5.5 hours worth of video. With the 64 gig, we are going to have the 25,000 pictures, roughly 10.5 hours of video capability with the cameras as well. So that's some pretty cool stuff. Any questions on the camera at all?
As far as last year's model, with this one, how did they change any of the software or anything, or like in other words, could you like go online and upgrade the software? Or
Yeah, quite often if we find a glitch in the computer or in the camera's operating system, we can put a patch out on our website. And you just go out onto our website, www.SeaLife-cameras.com. You would take your USB cable. If you see an upgraded version of the firmware on here, you would hook this up to your camera, and hook it up to your computer, download that patch directly onto the camera, and then it changes all of the firmware settings as well. So it's very easy to work with. The camera doesn't have any type of an automatic focus, like with a lot of other cameras. You push the shutter button halfway down, and some type of a focus indicator comes up on the screen. This is a true point-and-shoot Instamatic camera. From 1 foot out to infinity, everything is going to be in focus at those ranges. So you don't have to worry about it. There's no lag time. You see a picture, you hit the shutter button, and the camera's taking the picture. So everybody comes up. All I get is the south end of northbound fishes. Well, that's because they're waiting for the shutter to focus, and they're chasing the fish and everything else, but this is very, very quick for it. For those folks used to shoot a lot of film, the lens itself is a 2.8 lens, so it's a great big wide open low light lens. It lets a lot of light coming back into the camera. And when we start mixing it with the artificial light sources, we're ending up with some amazing fast moving items as well. Most of our other cameras used to have an external flash, and that would go from 0 to 16,000 lumens at the speed of light, and that's where you'd really get the stop action. With the speed of this camera and the power of these lights anymore, we're coming up with pictures that I didn't think would be possible without a flash. So it's some pretty cool stuff. If you do want to start shooting within the 6 inches, if you like doing macro photography, if you start taking things inside that 1 foot range, quite often they're going to get a little bit blurry. It's not going to be real good. So we do offer a 10 times adapter ring that just goes up on the front of the camera, clicks into place, and now you can shoot from 6 inches out to about 2 feet with the use of this adapter ring. Anybody shooting, I hate to say the word, anybody shooting GoPros? To get a GoPro to do what these cameras would do right out of the box is going to take almost $300 worth of accessories. So this is a definite step up and a great opportunity. If you're looking for any type of a camera, definitely check out the SeaLife cameras.
No, you're saying it has like an option to do like above water. Like how good are they in above water for just simple stuff?
They're going to be great pictures. The one thing the camera does not have is an onboard flash. And so if you're trying to do photography at night, you're going to have some issues with it. But then you do what 90% of the world does, you pull out your cell phone and take a picture with your cell phone. You know, so nighttime photography with cameras seems to be going by the wayside, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The land pictures that come out of this are very good also. On our website, www.SeaLife-cameras.com, there is a gallery that shows pictures taken with these cameras. And actually we've got some books that we're going to raffle off later tonight also. These are primarily taken with the DC 1400s. We didn't have the micros when we published the book, but it just shows you what some of the work that's capable with these types of cameras in the hands of amateurs. There's not a single professional photographer in any of these shots. So, cool stuff. So this is the 2.0, and we do have what's called the Sea Dragon system. This is, when you turn this on, it's going to have a scary little sea dragon image on the screen, everything else. What's making that work is when we start adding the external light sources to the camera system. And anytime you see one of these little red buttons, it's just going to be a quick release. So right now, if I was to be diving someplace and I have a lot of particulates in the water, if I'm trying to take a picture like this and putting the light on my subject, the light is coming out, it's bouncing back to its source, but it's also illuminating all of these particulates in front of the camera. And so that's what's causing your backscatter. If it ever looks like it's snowing underwater, that's backscatter. So what we're able to do, and this is the meat of the coconut, this is really the cool stuff about the system. We're going to take our light off, and then we're going to install a flex arm. These are available as an option. They do cost about $50 a piece. But what they're going to allow me to do is get the light off to the side. Now I'm putting the light on my subject. It's coming out this way and bouncing back towards its source, but it's not illuminating these particulates. So by using the flex arms, you're really going to be able to reduce the amount of backscatter you get. If you ever go down into the Caribbean or into any place you see these professionals, they've got their arms so far out you can barely reach it to change the strobes. They're trying to angle those lights in at different angles, eliminate the particulates, and also to illuminate as much as they can about their subject. Now with this also, we do have the option of putting on another tray on the bottom of this that would have this entire setup over here so we could run two lights. Anytime I'm trying to take a picture with a single light, I'm going to end up with a shadow down in the opposite downward side of the corner. So I'm going to take another light, run it over here, and bring it in from this side, and just keep as much light as I can on my subjects. Photography is actually the Latin for creation of images using light. So the more light you can put on your subject, the better your pictures are going to be. Any questions? Can't be that good, folks. We do have several different options available to us. These are called photo-video lights, and they're a constant on light. Some of the lights we'll be looking at is going to be, first off, our 1500 lumen light. And this is a very interesting light. It doesn't have LED bulbs in it. When we have the LED bulbs, I'll show you a couple lights that have that now, they're recessed into the face of the light, and so it's actually reducing the amount of beam patterns that's pulled back further into the housing. So this is actually called a COB, or a chips on board. And I'll pass this around in a few seconds here, but all of these little yellow pieces over here are actually a light source. This gives us about a 120-degree beam angle and about an 80-degree underwater angle. We also have something called a CRI, which is a color rendering index. And for the sake of comparison, the sun would be 100%, so the sun is absolute true colors. This light is going to provide us with 80% of the CRI of the sun when we're underwater. So what I'm going to do is just turn this off real quick here. There's our full 1500 lumen light. There's no hot spots, no halos, no rings, no anything else to it, just a beautiful burn pattern to it. So this is really going to be a nice effect with your camera. These lights on the side here are our battery indications. We do use rechargeable batteries on the inside of these. So we have 1500 lumens. We can click the button and go down to 750, and then go down to 375 lumens. At full power, these batteries are going to burn for about 70 minutes. At lower power settings, they're going to burn for upwards of 2.5 to 3 hours.
So 70 minutes is a constant output, 70 minutes?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah. That will be a true lumens also. These have been tested. A lot of other companies, this is what we call a regulated lumen. A lot of other companies say we have a 500 million lumen light, but it burns at that rate for about 7 seconds and then it drops off. So this is a true burn pattern. It will burn at 7 or 1500 lumens, whatever you have it set out for a set amount of time. There's a safety feature built into it. When you go to turn the light on, if you push the button and hold it down, it is going to go into a signal marker for us. So if you ever get separated from your group or anything else, if we tap this again, it's going to go into an SOS mode. So quite a bit of It's safety built into the camera.
That's the latest thing
light
with
as well.
flashlights too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for the gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Good gimmick.
the nice thing about this is if you took the camera off here, this entire system with the 1500 lumen light, the hard grip, and the micro tray is going to retail for $300. So it's very, very affordable for a tremendous light source. If anybody knows anybody who has a GoPro or any other type of camera, this takes a standard 1/4-20 screw. It would also come with a GoPro mount, so people can do that, buy this as an accessory for their GoPros or other cameras as well. You know, we just don't make things specifically for SeaLife cameras. We can't beat the devil, so we're going to sleep with them and make accessories for.
So that's just the light, the bar, and,
Yes, everything there except the
Okay.
camera is $299. We have another light that I'm charging the battery for right now. And this is going to be a 2100 lumen light, so it's 600 more lumens in the floodlight setting than we had with the previous light. We do have a 2000 lumen light, I'm sorry, that has 6 LED bulbs. It's going to retail for $399. I didn't bring that one with me tonight. So this is going to be a 2100 lumen light. You can see how much brighter that is than the 500 or 1500. Again, no hot spots, a real pretty light, white LED light to it as well. So we've got 2100, 1050, and 525. With this one, we can click it one more time, and then we're going to get an 800 lumen spotlight with a 14-degree beam as well. This light would be retailing for $499. It would include the grip and one of the larger trays and a carrying case for it as well. And of course, it is set up for the Sea Dragon aspect of things. You just put it and click it and move it around however you want to.
any one of these flashlights can go with the DC 1400?
Yes. Yeah. If you just carry the lights with this, the DC 1400 does have the setting for just photo video lights as well.
Okay.
The granddaddy of them all, if you will. Again, this is going to be a chips on board or a COB. This is going to have a color rendering index of 90, so this is 90% of the color of the sun. This is going to retail for $499. It's going to have the grip, the tray, the large tray in the head. But this one is pretty inspiring. It's a great burn pattern. If you look to see where it comes to, it's almost 180 degrees. We rated it 120, 80 degrees underwater. But this is 2500 lumens, 1250, and 625. Again, just tapping the buttons and changing the burn times on it as well. The battery pack inside here.
Is it just a matter of preference then, how much power you want underwater?
Yes.
Because they're basically all three are the same,
Yes.
right? It's just your preference, what you think you might need.
Mhm.
Okay.
If you're trying to take really serious photography and videography, definitely the 2500. If you want the versatility of spotting something as opposed to a big beam of light coming out, the 21800. Budgetary, the $299 for the 1500 lumen light is a great value as well.
Okay.
This is the battery pack. I always recommend carrying at least 2 or 3 battery packs with you. The neat thing about this, all of the electronics in this light is encapsulated in this raised area on the back of it. The battery compartment is only contacted to the electronics by the use of the gold-plated contacts on the inside of the battery housing. If you do flood this, throw the battery pack away, use your spare, clean these off with a Q-tip. Because if they are gold-plated, so if you use an eraser or anything like that, you can erase the gold off the top of it and affect the contact. Clean this all out, dry it out, make sure it's really nice and clean. Drop a new battery pack in, lubricate your O-rings, put the backpack on, and you're ready to go diving again. So it's really nice. A lot of other times if you flood the battery compartment, you would flood the integrity of the camera as well. Commercial time. We do have one camera that is called the Micro HD, and it is a 16 gig camera, and it does not include the Wi-Fi. Well, I'll show you the Wi-Fi here in a second. This is pretty cool. That camera is going to retail for $399. It's depth rated to 200 feet, has the screen, everything else to it. The 2.0 32 gig is going to be $499. The 64 gig is going to be $549. So for an extra $50, you can increase your memory by twice for $50. So it's pretty cost effective. What we have here is called the Pro 2500 set. That would include the 64 gig camera, the large tray, the grip, a flex arm, and the light for $999. And if you were to piecemeal everything, it would be about $1,050. You save $150 by buying this set. So, this is really a nice full around setup. We'll just pass that around, let you get the feel for it, see how it feels. Great ergonomic shape to it on the front. Your thumbs work the piano key buttons, your fingers work the shutter buttons. It's really a nice little camera system.